I'm Colleen. Standing in the opulent elevator of the Grand Azure Hotel, the doors closing behind me, I can still hear the distant chaos of what was supposed to be my sister's perfect wedding. The mirrored walls reflect my simple navy dress, a stark contrast to the luxury surrounding me. It's a reminder that I've always been the black sheep of the family, the one they underestimated. Let me take you back to the beginning of this fateful evening. I arrived at the Grand Azure Hotel for my sister, Lily's, wedding. As I made my way to my seat at table 17, far from the family table and close to the kitchen doors, I could feel the judgmental eyes on me. The constant swing of the servers created a draft that made the candles flicker, as if mirroring my unease. Lily, in her extravagant white gown that probably cost more than most people's cars, approached my table with her new husband, Ethan. "Colleen, you actually came," she said, her voice dripping with surprise. "I'm shocked you could afford the gas money to get here." I calmly set down my water glass and offered my congratulations. Ethan, adjusting his designer cufflinks, boasted about the venue's high cost, a clear attempt to make me feel small. Lily leaned in closer, the scent of her expensive perfume overwhelming. "Honestly, Colleen, I almost didn't send you an invitation. Mom thought it would be embarrassing having you here in that. What are you wearing?" I looked down at my simple dress, purchased from a regular department store. "It's comfortable," I replied. She laughed mockingly. "Comfortable? This is a luxury event. You should look sophisticated, not like you're going to a job interview at a call center." I held my ground. "I think I look fine." Ethan snorted. "Fine for a Tuesday morning meeting, maybe. Not for the Grand Azure Hotel. Do you have any idea what the average net worth is in this room?" I simply replied that I couldn't guess. Lily then swept away, leaving me to my thoughts and the first course of seared scallops. My mother's voice carried across the room, calling me over for a family photo. But it was only for the immediate family, which didn't include me. I quietly protested, but she patted my arm and said, "You know what I mean. The people who actually contributed to this event. The people who matter in Lily's life." I watched through the camera lens as they smiled and posed, a perfect portrait of success and celebration, while I was left on the sidelines. When I returned to my table, my father was waiting for me. He sat down, something he'd never done at a family event before. He began to lecture me about my situation. "Your mother and I have been discussing your future. You're in your late 20s, working an entry-level job, driving an old car, and living in a rental apartment. Meanwhile, Lily has built a real life. Real success." I told him I was happy with my life, but he scoffed. "Happiness isn't the point. Achievement is. Look around this room. These are successful people. What are you? Just an analyst at some tiny company no one's heard of." I explained that I analyzed data and made recommendations, but he dismissed it as a title for unsuccessful people. He then dropped the bombshell. "We've decided to cut you off completely. No more birthday checks, no more Christmas gifts, no emergency fund access. Maybe tough love will motivate you to actually make something of yourself." I pointed out that I hadn't asked for money in years, but he insisted that I was settling and that they wouldn't enable it anymore. As the evening wore on, Ethan stopped by my table again. "Colleen, what kind of car do you drive?" he asked. When I told him I drove a Honda Civic, he laughed. "A Civic? That's exactly what I would have guessed. I drive a Tesla Model S Plaid. It costs more than you probably make in a year." He went on to lecture me about success and how I needed to show it. Lily appeared as dessert was being served. "Colleen, we're doing the cake cutting soon. Please don't get in any of the photos. And after dinner, you can probably leave early. This isn't really your world." I asked her what my world was, and she replied, "Cheap restaurants, bargain shopping, Netflix, and microwave dinners. Whatever it is, it's definitely not 5-star hotels and luxury weddings." Around 11 o'clock, just as I was considering leaving, Lily found me again. "Colleen, there's a charge on the hotel invoice for a room reserved under your name. Did you book a room here?" I admitted that I did. Her eyes widened in shock. "You booked a room at the Grand Azure? Do you know how much rooms cost here? You can't afford to stay here. You're just trying to pretend you're part of this world." I told her I had my reasons, but she was furious. She demanded that I cancel the room immediately, threatening to tell our parents. A few minutes later, all three of them came to my table. My mother hissed, "What were you thinking? You could have driven home. You're just wasting money trying to pretend you're something you're not." Just then, a man in an immaculate black suit approached our table. His name tag identified him as the hotel manager, Mr. Harris. "We're fine," my father said quickly. "But Mr. Harris smiled at me. "Ms. Colleen, I trust your suite is satisfactory? We upgraded you to the presidential level as requested." The silence at the table was deafening. "The presidential level?" my mother repeated faintly. Mr. Harris continued, "Miss Colleen always stays in our finest accommodations when she's here. We're delighted to have her attending an event in the ballroom this time, rather than just staying with us during her business trips." Lily was in disbelief. "You're saying Colleen stays here regularly?" Mr. Harris, after a moment of hesitation, confirmed that I was one of their most valued regular guests. He showed my mother my profile in the guest management system, which revealed that I had stayed at the hotel 73 times over the past 4 years and maintained an annual membership in their Diamond Elite program, requiring a minimum spend of $200,000 per year in room rates alone. Ethan appeared, drawn by the commotion. "What's going on?" Lily said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Apparently Colleen is some kind of secret millionaire who stays at luxury hotels all the time. Which is obviously ridiculous." Just then, a woman in a sharp business suit, Miss Jenkins, the director of operations, approached. "Ms. Colleen, I didn't realize you were here for a personal event. I hope everything has been perfect." My father was still in shock. "Who are the owners of this hotel?" Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Harris looked at me. I took a deep breath and said, "It's time." Just then, an older gentleman in an expensive suit, Mr. Sullivan, the regional vice president of Azure Luxury Hotels, approached. "Ms. Colleen, wonderful to see you. I trust Mr. Harris and Miss Jenkins have been taking excellent care of you. And I wanted to let you know that the quarterly reports are ready for your review. I'll have them sent to your office on Monday as usual." My father's face turned pale. Mr. Sullivan then revealed, "Miss Colleen is the majority shareholder of Azure Luxury Hotels International, which includes this property and 47 others across 12 countries." The world seemed to stop for my family. They stared at me in disbelief. I explained that I started a data analysis company in my early 20s. We developed predictive algorithms for the hospitality market, and Azure Hotels bought my company 4 years ago. As part of the deal, I retained majority ownership in the parent company and sit on the board. Lily was the first to speak. "Then why do you dress like that? Why do you drive that car? Why do you live in a rental apartment?" I replied, "Because I like my clothes, my car, and my apartment. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. You all just assumed I was a failure because I didn't fit your idea of success." Mr. Harris then brought up the wedding event. "Given the circumstances, should we proceed with the standard post-event protocols?" Lily asked nervously. Ms. Jenkins explained that when a majority shareholder's family member is involved, they apply a family courtesy adjustment, which means full rate, no discounts, and full payment due within 30 days. The total cost of the wedding, which was originally discounted to $30,000, would now be $42,000. Lily and Ethan were in a panic. "We can't pay that much in 30 days. We were counting on the payment plan," Ethan said. My father pleaded with me. "Colleen, you're on the board. You can override this policy." I calmly replied, "Why would I? This is the family that put me at table 17, told me I was an embarrassment, and said I couldn't afford the dessert. You've always treated me like I was less than." Mr. Sullivan then mentioned the annual board meeting. Ms. Colleen, you mentioned possibly hosting it here, but given tonight's experience, perhaps you'd like to choose a different property, like the Azure Monte Carlo. I agreed, stating that the Monte Carlo booking would generate approximately $2 million in revenue for that property. My father's face went even paler. "Colleen, you can't take that away from this hotel. Think of the local economy, the jobs." I replied, "I'm thinking of them. They deserve a hotel owner who isn't being actively insulted by her own family in the ballroom." As the chaos continued, more issues arose. The hotel concierge questioned the authorization of my family's vehicles parked in the VIP section. Since I hadn't designated them as approved guests, they would have to be moved to standard parking, 3 blocks away, with a $50 convenience fee per vehicle. The hotel also reviewed the charge for the rehearsal dinner, which was previously comped. It was now going to be charged at the full price of $8,000. Lily was in tears, begging me not to do this. But I was firm. "You should have thought of that before you treated me the way you did." I picked up my small purse and started walking towards the exit. My father tried to assert his authority, but I told him, "That tone doesn't work anymore, Dad. You have no authority over me." My mother threatened that they'd never forgive me if I charged them these fees. I simply replied, "Good. Then we'll be even." As I reached the ballroom doors, Mr. Sullivan caught up with me. "Ms. Colleen, I apologize if our staff revealed more than we should have tonight." I told him it was time. I also instructed him to note in the booking system that my family was no longer eligible for any corporate discounts, partnership rates, or courtesy adjustments at any Azure property worldwide. Now, as the elevator reaches my floor and the doors slide open, revealing the quiet, elegant hallway of the presidential level, I know that my family has finally learned that sometimes, the person they underestimate is the one with all the power. I smile and walk towards my suite, already planning my next visit to one of the 47 other Azure properties I own.